Well, that is a useful model, but are there any other mental models that I should be aware of?
It's called Boyd's cycle or OODA loops. The OODA is an acronym for observe, orient, decide, and act. Observe, orient, decide, act. And even though it's laid out like that, it's much more complex than that. And it's not necessarily happening in that order. And so I would encourage everybody to Google it. It's usually kind of queued up on a bit from the business side as opposed to combat, but it can be applied to the business cycle because business is competitive. So all conflicts are I boil them down to a competition for time and space. Time and space I don't want to give either of that to my opponents. And you'll sort of see that reflected in some of the drills that we do. The more opportunity you give the person to move, the more time you give them, the more and then they start dominating the situation. So the first O in the OODA loop is observe, which gets us right back to maintaining situational awareness, gets us right back to being in yellow and orange. So we're looking, we're not just seeing, but we're perceiving, which is another sort of phenomenon. So once I observe, I put things into perspective, would be the second O, which is orientation. How does this fit in? So I see it, how does it fit in? What's interesting about this is that orientation is affected by many things. Your culture, your training, your experiences, your genetics, or what's new information that's coming in. And some of that orientation has already come before you're actually in this situation. So you're already sort of pre-set to either get this in order or not. So training helps you, if it's good training, it helps you with this orientation part. It helps you not be so confused right now. Otherwise, you're trying to take in all this new information right now and you're what? Disoriented. Nobody functions well when they're disoriented. It works both ways. I don't function well, but if I can disorient my opponent, that's a good thing. Because they can't move on to the next thing, and that's a good decision. So when observe, orient. Now I'm making decisions based on my orientation. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm making decisions on that. So decisions come depending on the time that you have, come one of two pathways. And it may not be perfectly accurate, but they come through conscious decision making. Means you have some time to think about this and kind of what if it. And then the second pathway, which is much more powerful and much more, I would say, intuitive or instinctive, is your subconscious. If someone's very close to me with a knife, I don't have time to go through a long analysis. Whatever I got in the tank, whatever training and reactions and psychological and physiological capabilities, they're going to just come pouring out. So it's really a body-mind decision that took place right then and there, which converts into an action. If I have more time to think about it, there's somebody out on the plaza out there with a gun, we hear gunfire, and we have some time, we can think about it, get ourselves oriented, and make a lot of decisions that are going to help us. And then what are we going to do? We're going to barricade, we're going to call 911, we're going to group up, and we have more time. So but nevertheless, whether it's close or far, the cycle's moving. Once I get to an action, the situation's fundamentally changed. That door was barricaded, it wasn't barricaded, now it is, so it's different. What do we do now? Oh, there's another door to go to. And so we start the cycle there, and we start the cycle there. And so the person or group that can effectively move through that cycle the most efficiently are going to win. And this is what John Boyd, is a fighter pilot, and again, I encourage you to Google him and read him and sort of get that. But that cycle's really helped me break down complex events into bite-sized pieces. Where did I fail? I never even saw it. Well, that's a problem. Or I made some bad assumptions about this situation. Okay, I gotta get myself, I got some knowledge here, and so on and so forth. Even if I decide to do something, right or wrong, and then I tried to execute it, and I don't have enough training, I would love to be able to build a good barricade. I'd love to be able to pull a gun away from somebody. I'd love to be able to shoot my own gun. I'd love to be able to, well, if you don't train, it doesn't matter that you decide to do it, you just can't do it.
You might not succeed.
So everywhere in the cycle, you have responsibilities to improve and figure out where you're weak. Don't concentrate on your strengths, concentrate on your weaknesses. So it's an excellent cycle that helps me sort of philosophically and mentally compartmentalize a lot of aspects to confrontations. It's a very good synthesis of what's happening in a dynamic environment.